Welcome to Disrupt and Discuss with your hosts, E and KayCee, a Boucher Ventures production brought to you by It's Just ETV and My Herba by the Fitness Collective. Now, without any further ado, disrupt and discuss.
Hey,
How's everybody doing?
I woke
I'm
up this morning.
okay. Thank you guys for joining us. Welcome back to Disrupt and Discuss
D&D, of course.
D&D, of course. I am E.
And I am KC.
All right, y'all. Well, we got another one for you. We got one that I hope you will enjoy. This is one that is long overdue. My girl KayCee, she talked about it a couple of times, but she didn't want to say anything. And I totally respected that until she went and took her trip and came back. And so she has taken the trip. She has come back. She was sending me video and stuff, but she is back from her trip and we want to discuss it. It was a trip overseas to a very great place, a serene place. And KayCee, where did you go?
I went to Japan. Japan.
Japan.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Had a fantastic time.
that's what I'm talking about. I love seeing pictures of Japan, the different sites of Japan. So I'm very excited to talk about this discussion with you. Tell us, because this is not your first time leaving the United States. You've gone abroad before, but why did you choose Japan? What was it about Japan that you wanted to see?
One of the things we wanted to see was the technology. You always hear about China, you always hear about Japan and some of the things they do. And quite frankly, wanted to go to some like 7-Eleven, which is no, seriously,
They
because
have a
it
7-Eleven in Japan.
7-Eleven is on damn near every corner. They
Wow.
have yeah, there's tons of 7-Elevens there, but it's not like your basic 7-Elevens here. They've got anything and everything in there. Then we wanted to see some of the tradition that is there. We'll circle back to 7-Eleven. Family Mart was also another one that was there. If it wasn't a Family Mart, it was a 7-Eleven. And one of the things we learned on the tour was that I think Family Mart is a company out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and
Okay.
or it's from the States, but then it migrated over there. And so now you have those everywhere.
Wow.
But again, the technology is what we really wanted to see. We had heard everything about it. It was just there's no trash. It's beautiful. It's everything. So we said, what the hell? We weren't going to go to Thailand at first. And then when I started seeing all this other stuff about Japan, I go, you know what? Let's go there instead. So our travel agent, who is amazing, by the way,
We're
set
going to
it
put
up.
her information in the description.
Yeah, I can do that. Not a problem at all. And it was red carpet service from the time we left to the time we got there until the time we came back home. It was amazing. I had a really good time.
Were you
Um,
with a group or was it just you and the hubby?
well, it ended up being a group. Me and Aaron, we got there and then we met everybody at the hotel that we went with. And again, everybody was amazing. The people that we met, some were from, majority were from Australia. So there were various places in Australia that they were from. Then there were a lot of people, believe it or not, from also California. We were the only ones from Northern California, but there were a lot of people from Southern California.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a really good mix of people. And the fact that we were all somewhat around the same age, which made a big difference as well, because we were going to take a trip to Japan earlier, but there were a lot younger people there, and they kind of like to keep you in the same age range.
So in the
And
same generational type of.
pretty
Okay.
much, you have that option.
Right.
You're still within the same range, and you all had a lot of things in common. So it was really good. And the tour guide was awesome. And we just no regrets. Only thing I tell everybody, because it was a long trip, definitely you want to wear compression socks because you're sitting for a long
Mm.
time. And
Oh,
you
on the
definitely
flight.
yeah, and you
Okay.
definitely want to have compression socks to help with the swelling for
Okay.
sure.
So, and you said how many hours was that flight?
About a 15-hour flight, something like that. Minus the layover, maybe 12
Oh,
hours.
so that was total with layover and
Right, right. We left out of Sacramento.
okay.
And I did that because I didn't wanna pay for parking. I parked my car in my daughter's garage, and she took us to the airport. So, whether if we had left from SFO or we had left from Sacramento, you fly into LAX. From LAX, then you go into Tokyo.
Nice.
So, that was that.
So, what would you say the biggest cultural shift or difference that you experienced?
One of the things that Aaron and I noticed, it was an unsaid pride that they have. And what I mean by that is you didn't see garbage on the street. You literally did not see garbage. If there was a piece of paper on the ground, you're like, "Oh my god, why is that paper there?" And the politeness that
Mhm.
and I would step back and see how other natives or Asians or Japanese treated
Japanese.
each
Yep.
other and not just making sure that it was, "Oh, because you're a tourist." They walk in and I can't pronounce all the stuff that they said, but,
Mhm.
it obviously but they bow when they come in, and it's just what you do. When we were driving on the highway there, you rarely heard horns honking. You rarely heard that.
That would be odd for me.
It was odd, it really was. So, it's just different.
So they had like a level of respect as well as like you said a sense of pride for, living where they
Oh,
lived and treating where they live with respect.
exactly, because we went to really affluent areas and then not so affluent areas, but again, you did not see a bunch of crap. You didn't see trash and all this other kind of stuff. You just didn't see it.
Wow. That's
And
amazing to me.
well, yeah, and even their like, for example, their garbage trucks,
Mhm.
shiny, pristine. It didn't look
No
like a
stink.
garbage truck. Yeah, and
Right.
and when we would be on, say, the tour bus, and we're, like, on those huge, tour buses, when we would stop to do different things, the driver will be out there cleaning up and cleaning his windows, armor all in the wheels, and all this kinda stuff.
Right.
Again, there's that pride involved that goes with it.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I don't even know how I would, to see something that clean, that's something that prestige, somebody a country that has a pride like that. I wonder how did they all come to the consensus
Right.
to this is how we're going to function as a nation, right?
Absolutely, I agree. And then, one of the stereotypes, and I don't know how much of it is still, but the old saying about, "Oh, Asians can't drive."
Right.
So, again, totally not true. And what I mean by that is one thing I learned was how we Americans get our driver's license. When you get well, back when we were coming up, 16,
Yes.
take your driver's test, you get your
Yep.
license, and off, be gone. There, no, it is a long process. You don't just get
Really?
to be 16 and get a driver's license and off, be gone. You need to know the mechanisms of your car. You get tested on that. It takes about, I forgot how long they had said, but it's at least a good 6 months
Really?
plus to get your driver's license. And, you're taking classes, but you do
You
need,
the mechanism of the car?
yes, you do. You do.
So I
You
have to
need
know how to take it apart, put it back
Well, you
together.
need you need to know more than just, "Let me put the key in the ignition and take off."
Wow.
You really need to know, and you're tested on it and everything.
Wow.
So,
Dang.
and one of the places we went to was, Mount Fuji, and
Mhm.
that's similar to going to, say, Tahoe, because you're going up in these different
Yep.
hills and mountains and stuff, and we're in one of those huge coach tour buses.
Mm-mm.
And man, that dude was hanging those curves, going up and down all around. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he's good. He's good. And because my husband was in the transportation industry, he was a mechanic for years. He's like, I got to shake this guy's hand because Aaron has to drive those coach buses and everything from time to time. And he's like, that ain't easy. He goes, I don't want to be that responsible for all these people on the bus.
Right.
And he was up in the mountains, hooking them curves and everything.
Well, I just learned something new. Hopefully, you guys learn something new too. Don't move to Japan to think you just gonna get a license all willy nilly.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
It's
No,
not gonna
no,
happen. Wow.
no.
What about the language? Was there any language barriers? Did you have to pull out Google Translate?
You know what? I started to try to do all that before I left, and then I'm looking at stuff that YouTubers were doing and IG and all the platforms, and then I just, fuck it. I got a tour guide. I'm not, I'm not doing that. I'm
You
not
went all
doing it.
American on me and got all tourist.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna be just perfectly honest. I had a lot going on anyway, but I started off trying to do that, and
Mhm.
I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Did you learn
And
a couple of words? Just a couple.
Ohio, Ohio is like good morning.
Ohio?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ohio. Okay.
Hmm.
Ah,
So I knew that, and then you go in and you bow. You don't do like a whole thing. You just go Ohio. And you're walking in, and people were very, very receptive and everything. And a lot of places where we went, they did know English. And I know when people say that, oh yeah, when other countries they know all these different languages. Well, they might know all these different languages, but just like with anybody, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I say that to say that some of the places we went to get souvenirs, and again, on the platforms, you'll see with Don Quixote. That was one of the places we went because they have those all over. A lot
mhm.
of the people didn't really understand much English. So you're just kind of showing here, and you're just kind of pointing to things. So the language barrier, one of the things I definitely had a lot of respect for anybody, even coming into the US, and you come into a country and you don't know the language and you still have learned the language, plus you know your own language. I mean, hands down. I grew up where in the area where I grew up, it was bilingual, so Spanish was the second language. So I know enough to get by,
Right.
but when you're going to a completely different country and you know a few phrases and then you're still trying to interact in their circle of things, it's hard. It is extremely hard. Everything was in Japanese. You see some things in English, but the majority of the stuff is in Japanese. Even if they had the diagram, I still didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I'm like, you know what? It was very humbling, extremely humbling, because if I wasn't with the tour guide or you speak English, I would be fucked. I really
Right.
would.
Right.
So, again, anybody that can come into any country, learn their language, whether it be piecemeal or anything, you can learn their language and you can maneuver and you live there for years and then you become pretty fluent in it. Hands off to you, because that alone was major respect right there. You don't realize it when you're in your own country and you tell people, "Hey, speak English. This is America." Da 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 da
Right.
da.
Right.
Then when you go to a different country and that same, I mean, we didn't have that said to us, but you hear it so much in your country, but then you
Right.
go to another country, it's a mind fuck because it's
Right.
like, oh my God, I can't go too far away because how am I gonna get back?
Right. No one's gonna understand you. And I think if you do, like, I think when people do come to another country and they take the time to learn the language, the people kind of show their they feel that, okay, you've tried to respect our culture. You tried
Right,
to learn our culture
right,
before you came here. So
right.
it's showing again another level of respect that you're not just coming here acting like, oh, I'm American.
Exactly,
Sh-
exactly.
Everything needs to be in English so I can understand. You try to engross yourself in their culture.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, kind of like off topic, but not off topic. The times we do go to Mexico, I
Hmm.
make sure that I can speak enough of it to get by. Because again, it's that respect that you're showing them and you get the same respect back, you
Right.
know. It was just incredible. And everybody was so gracious and nice. And one thing with having a tour guide as opposed to going by yourself,
Hmm.
she would prep us on what to do and what not to do because there were some restaurants you don't have to take your shoes off.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, but some restaurants you do have to take your shoes off.
Hmm.
So, like that first night, we went to one restaurant and you had to take your shoes off. Now they had slippers for you to put on, but you still had to take your shoes off. No outside shoes. and they
Oh,
had
wow.
lockers for you to put your shoes in.
Right. So would you say, do you think, I don't know if you know or not, with the restaurant where you went to where there you didn't have to take off your shoes, would you say that was a more of a touristy restaurant or more of a non-traditional restaurant than the others?
It was non-traditional in the sense that correct, you did not have to do that, but traditional in the sense that everything was Japanese.
Okay. Okay.
So I the one that you did not have to take your shoes off, it was more that was in downtown Kyoto, and you saw a little bit more diversity, if you will. Not too much more, but you did see a little bit more diversity. So there are certain ones that you do and you don't have to. And then we would go to a place to eat off the strip or something like that. And you just walk in and you order whatever you want. Basically there's pictures of everything. You point to the picture, you pay, and then there you go.
Gotcha. Wait, picture.
Yeah, you just pick in a couple of places we went to that we have here, like we went to Subway to eat. And again,
Talk about that one. Yes.
portions are different. So there's no foot long, you ain't
You
getting a
can't buy
foot
no
long.
foot long, no 12 inch.
You can buy 2 6 inches and call it a day. But no, foot long is not an option.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the amount of condiments or cold cuts and all that? Do they have other options? Do they have tofu or anything like that as an
They might
option?
have I just got a vegetable one because that's,
Okay.
that's readily available, but they had this one thing that was like shrimp and avocado sandwich.
Mm,
Yeah, no. I wasn't gonna do that one. But they have a lot of different things, obviously, that go with what they're used to in their world that they
right.
eat. One thing I did notice was, again, how the food is different. We got a soda to go with it, and at the time, we were just getting beer also, so I figured I'd have a beer with my sandwich as opposed to soda. When we got back to our room, we had put the sodas in the refrigerator that they provided for us. Ordinarily, that next day or even a few hours later, when we go back to our soda, what is it? It's all watery and you might as
Right.
well just throw it out. It still was the same as when I got it the day before.
So it still had the carbonation,
Yeah.
still the
Mhm.
bubbly.
And
Wow.
it tasted really good. And we're like, "Well, damn, that was one thing that we noticed that was different."
Okay. And then you said the food. What about the food, the quality of the food?
The first of all, the portions are again are not like what we're used to here.
Mhm.
So when we're looking, now you might have a lot of different things to eat
Mhm.
that's spread out, but it's not like huge Texas style stuff
Right.
to eat. So some of it was unrecognizable. I did not know what I was eating. Some I
Okay.
will never eat it again. But again, that's just all about your palate, what you're
Right.
used to eating.
Right.
So the quality, now one thing I did do, even though, like I said, for years I've been vegan and then I kind of gone back to the vegetarian side of it. I had made a conscious decision that when I got there, I was going to eat beef. I was going to have Kobe beef because that shit is so expensive over here.
Right. Right.
So we went to one place for Japanese barbecue. So basically, it's
Mhm.
like the Korean style where you just put everything on the hot plate or whatever.
Yes.
And oh my God, that shit melted in your mouth.
Did
It was
it?
great. Yes, yes. And when you're getting stuff for stir fry or just stuff in general, it's not like big hunks of meat. So it's like sliced
Thinly
and all of
sliced.
that, really thin and everything. So it didn't affect my internal organs by eating it.
Right.
It just was really, really good. And we drank a lot. Warm sake is
Wha
the bomb.
That's what, yeah, warm sake. I didn't know you warm it up.
I didn't either. I do now.
So did it go down smooth?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It really did. And we walked a lot of places. We walked to again, these are things I wouldn't have done on my own. So
Mhm.
I highly recommend somebody taking a tour. It was one of those tours where when it was time to go home, I was so ready because we were gone nonstop. And there were days, part of the day where you had time to do your own thing, but we went to all kind of places and we took what is it, public transportation and everything. So when we were doing the barbecue, what is it, that whole barbecue dinner, the Japanese
Mhm.
barbecue, I'm trying to say, sorry, we had unlimited drinks. And the thing about it is you're not sloppy drunk because first of all, we had to walk back to the subway station. But again, You don't wake up with a headache. And
Okay, no
again, I
hangovers.
yeah, no, I didn't have a hangover. We drank what we wanted to. We were mixing drinks, the whole 9 yards, and bonsai. It was great. It was great. Like I said, you feel relatively safe. But here's the thing: I'm from the U.S., so I'm always got my head on a swivel, always. And here
Yes,
you
she does.
are drinking, and you're walking. It was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and we're walking to the subway station, and ain't nobody thinking about you.
Really?
No, mm-mm. I'm like, "Oh, we going down there? Oh, okay." So I'm looking side to side because if I gotta break out, I'm running. Where am I gonna run? I have no fucking idea because I don't know where I'm at, but I just know I'm take flight and you're gone. But it is safe. The thing that when you're on the subway,
Mhm.
you're not loud. I don't hear your conversation and the other people three seats back, you don't hear their conversation. Everybody is fucking quiet. You can talk
Mhm.
amongst yourselves, but you're really talking like this and you're just, having your conversation. Nobody You might be on your phone, but you're not using your phone.
So you're not on the subway with your speaker on talking to somebody where everybody can hear your conversation?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It
That
is quiet.
okay.
And again, it is clean.
They have laws about like that, or
That
is it just
if they do, I'm not aware of, but I'm sure there's something there.
right.
It was clean. It was spotless. It
Wow.
really was. And like I said, it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. We're on the subway going back home. I think it was downtown Kyoto. It was massive people. It was crazy. But again, when in Rome, yeah,
Exactly. Tell me
yeah. And
this. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, and one of the things I thought was gonna be different was one of the things I did, I wore my hair up. I had a bun damn near the whole time I was there. And because I knew I was going somewhere that a lot of people didn't look like me. You didn't see many black people, I'll tell you that.
You know that was gonna be one of my questions.
Yeah, not
Okay.
really. And I didn't want somebody to go and wanna touch my hair. That's
Okay.
a no-no for me. I don't care who you are. I don't No, you don't do that. So, and then with us going different places and stuff, I didn't wanna be dealing with my hair. So, I
Right.
kept it up purposely for that reason, or if I had to break one and run, I didn't want nobody grabbing me by my hair. But I thought people were gonna, like, stare at you and all this kinda stuff. Ain't nobody thinking about you. But nobody's
Wow.
worried about it. Now, if they
'Cause you see all this stuff on Instagram and TikTok, "Oh, they looked at me. Oh, they were taking pictures of me because I'm black." Experience any of that?
I didn't experience that at all. I
Okay.
and if people were staring, I wasn't aware of it. But
Okay.
I'm always aware of my surroundings and where I am. That's for
Right.
sure. But as far as anybody seeing me and going, "Ooh, let me touch you," that kind of no. No,
Okay.
that was not the case at all. And it was fun.
Interesting.
Every time we would go somewhere and we were in this one, I forget this one town, and I saw this other black person. I'm like, "Oh, hey." And now they're like, "Hey."
Hey.
And my husband's like, "Don't do that no more.
Eh,
Don't do that." But it was one of those things when you saw somebody that looked like you're like,
right.
"Hey," that kind of thing. And then there was one guy that was jogging down the street, and I was trying to take a picture, and it's like, "God damn it, I missed him." You know? Because my kids were like, "Okay, these pictures you're taking, were there any black people there besides you 2?" Like, I'm sure they were, but every time I got ready to take a picture, it's like, it didn't work out.
Where did you stay? So did you stay in Tokyo or Kyoto?
Well,
Was
we
it a
stayed in we did a
okay.
lot of different cities. So we did Tokyo the longest for about maybe 3 days. Then
Okay.
we went to Kyoto, stayed for maybe a few less days than Tokyo. From Kyoto, we went to Fiji, we went
Okay.
there. Then we went to Osaka. Osaka was the last place we went to.
Now, are any of those major cities like a San Francisco or anything like that, or were they equivalent to a smaller town?
Tokyo, which everybody knows,
Right.
that's very metropolitan, and oddly enough, Osaka is even more metropolitan than
Really?
Tokyo. Yeah, so a lot of the folks in Osaka seem to think that Tokyo is slow. as far as action. I don't mean people, but I mean as far as action and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, Kyoto is a little bit in between. It's a little quieter
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So that one was fine. You kind of get to get to rest a little bit. Fiji is more not countryside, but it's even more quiet, kind of like a bedroom community kind of a thing.
Okay.
That's what that one was like. And
Oh,
no matter where you went, everybody, I mean, again, there's cars there, traffic, all that kind of stuff. But the thing is that even older people, everybody, they're riding a bike,
mhm.
biking. The bikes, not all of them had little motors on them. They're actually riding a bike. So you definitely have that. That was interesting to see. Older
Right.
people riding bicycles. It was like, damn,
So
you
they
know,
took care of their mobility even at an
right.
older age.
Right, and I'm not sure if Japan is one of those places where they have a lot of centenarians, but it would make sense if they did because, again, you are riding your bikes, you're
Right.
walking, the food you eat, how much you eat, so you're constantly moving, whereas with us, we're sitting. They're
Very
they're actually
sedentary.
yeah, they're actually doing stuff, and again, there's always exceptions to everything, but you saw that more or less, a lot. You
Okay.
you definitely did. So I
You
said,
know,
"Oh,
I'm looking
Aaron,
this up.
oh, what, the
The
centenarian part?"
centenary.
Tiki Barber here. I remember those grueling practices, pushing through fatigue and striving for greatness. Well, that's the same dedication My Herba puts into their supplements. They understand the body's needs. My Herba takes a holistic approach to wellness. Whether it's their sea moss, immune defense, or even sleepy time, they have an option for you. Let My Herba make the best you with code BARBER10 for 10% off at thefitnesscollectif.com.